Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2 on this busy Friday. We're going to hit everything here in Hour 2, including a check-in on the U.S. gymnastics trials going on in Minneapolis. We end the show, of course. My dad's going to join us coming up. I'm sure he'll be in a fine mood to let me bring up that the Mets beat the Yankees this week. And then he'll remind me, I guarantee he's going to say, what month is it? But I don't care. Anytime they sweep them, we're going to bring that up. If you missed it earlier this week, big-time awards handed out. The National High School Coaches of the Year were named. This is not state. This is the national awards. And 2 in North Dakota brought home awards, including our next guest who we've had on the show many times. And when I heard him, like, oh, man, that's fantastic. Very deserving, and couldn't wait to get him on the show. I'm glad he didn't big-time me now that he's the National Coach of the Year. From Central Cass, Scott Kost named the National Softball High School Coach of the Year. When I say that, has it even clicked in yet?
Not really, Dom. It's very, very humbling. It's a little bit surreal.
So you found out in Bismarck earlier this week, and I know you talked to the forum about it, but you're sitting there, you're hearing the names. What's going through your mind?
What's going through my mind is I'm honored just to even be considered, but there's no way that I'm going to get this award because I'm listening to the credentials of these other coaches, and it's like, man, they are so deserving of the award. It's not going to be me. And
you've been a finalist a couple times. You've been down this road. Like, was it like the Susan Lucci effect here? You've just kept getting nominated, and I don't think I'm ever going to win.
Yeah, that was kind of it. That was exactly it. And like I said, it's fun to hang out with those coaches. Yeah. So it's fun to go to the banquet and stuff like that. But I had really no expectations whatsoever.
So when they heard your name, tell me what was the first thing that went through your mind?
I really can't believe this. It was a little bit emotional to me. I think one of what I was really thinking about though is I was thinking about how lucky I am to be part of the Central Cass system and the school and the parents and those assistant coaches that I have that are amazing. I mean, I think the recognition is really, it's them. It's the Central Cass program. And so I'm just proud to be a part of it.
Did it almost take your breath away? Like, did you have to give a speech afterwards?
No, I wouldn't have been able to, I don't think.
What?
That would have been tough. And I'm usually not at a loss for words, but I would have been at a loss for words.
I have to imagine you heard from a ton of people. Like, tell me, was there one that came out of the woodwork, one you didn't expect to hear from over the last couple of days?
Yeah, I just this morning I heard from Scott Berry.
Oh, wow.
Wow. And who's a legend in his own right.
Yes.
And it's just like, really. I'm not even sure how he had my contact information, but I know I went to Mayville State.
Yeah.
So I know Scott, and it was just like, man, that's really an honor to hear from somebody like that.
That's fantastic. To do this for as long as you had, I know this is not what you get into for. Awards, nothing like that. But what makes this to you the most gratifying of being named this?
I think it is. I think it is recognition of that. There's some good things that are going on in this program right now. With the number of kids that we have participating, everything from our T-ball program that we talked about earlier, Dom, and then all the way through the 10U, 12U, and the kids that are coming into the high school program, and their willingness to put the work in, the willingness of the parents to be supportive of the program and the things that are going on. I can't say enough about my assistant coaches. They're the best. They're the best human beings that not only care about softball, but they care about those kids. And it's just kind of the whole system, the support we get from the Central Cass administration and our AD, Travis Lamar. It's just, it's really a recognition of there's a lot of things that we're doing right. And that is what's most gratifying.
All right. I don't know this, so I'm going to ask. Take me back. What was your first coaching job? Where were you at?
I got into this completely by accident. I had just 1998. I moved to Castleton.
Okay.
And I didn't know anybody, but I was going to sign my kids up for softball. And so I went into the Parks and Rec department and I just said, hey, I'm going to sign up my kids for softball. And if anybody ever needs any help, I will, I'll be willing to help out. And I'd say about 2 weeks later, I got a printed page of paper that said, here's your roster. You're the coach. And that's a true story. That's
Wow.
exactly. And I've been coaching 26 years later.
Wow.
I'm still doing it. That's how I got into this.
So just by accident.
Absolutely by accident.
Was there ever a moment you think it was not necessarily overwhelming, but it was too much? Did it ever come up over the last quarter century?
I've had a lot of people to lean on. So there
Yeah.
are times because we get busy with life, and I've got a job at Ide Bailey that's outside of the school, and you get busy with life and you get busy with stuff. It does feel like it gets hard. Last year during the spring season, my mother passed away.
Mm.
And it's like, so I've got my job, I've got my softball duties, and then I'm trying to mourning the loss of my mother. And again, I go back to God, the support I get. My assistant coaches, they step right in, they start making things happen. And if you didn't have that, I think it would get to be too much. But I just have a great support system that makes it work.
I remember visiting with you, gosh, I'm going to date myself, about a decade ago when Class B softball got sanctioned. It was going to be a state-sanctioned sport. Now here we are in almost July of 2024. It's blown up. Next to wrestling, girls wrestling, it's the fastest-growing sport in the state. I'll ask you simply, why? Why is that the case?
A couple of things I'd say. Number one is, I told you earlier, I really appreciate you and the coverage that we get across the state. The exposure that the sport is getting, not just, and it's within the state, but it's also all over ESPN now.
Yep.
The whole World Series, the exposure, and it's a great game. It's a great game, and lots of kids can participate in it. So I think that's the one thing. And then what I've noticed, Dom, is that it's getting better. I mean, the kids are getting better. They're developing better skills. It's a better game right now. There's not, we don't run into these, 25 to 23 games where, a pitcher can't throw a strike. It's getting to be a good game with good skills being displayed. And it makes it fun. So I think that's a big part of why this thing is growing.
Well, I can remember the first Class B state tournament was out in the backfields of West Fargo, right?
Yep.
If I remember right. And now you're playing at NDSU. Next year you're going to be back up there. I mean, you've had it's unbelievable the growth and that's just a decade. I don't know where we're going to be 10 years from now.
It's going to be fun to see because there's lots of kids that are participating. I think we have like 30 or 40 kids just in the 12U program right now that are participating and playing. And so I think the sport is going to continue to grow, and it's going to continue to, the quality of play is going to continue to improve, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Seeing what Abby Ducher has done can't hurt either, right? I know she didn't play high school softball, but everybody knows what she's doing.
Right. No, that helps a lot because again, you just get that much more exposure to the sport, and kids are watching it and they say, maybe I could do that. And colleges are starting to notice it. I get way more calls from colleges today than I used to get. And so it's really, really gratifying.
So here's the hard question. Of the 6 state championships, which one is the favorite?
Wow. I've never been asked that question before. They've all been special because every team is different. That first time though that we thought we could do it, we were second place, and it's like we're not going to let that happen again. And we thought we could do it. I'll never forget us winning that one.
Yeah.
That one was really, really special. But every one of them is special. I mean, it really is.
So I hate to be this guy, but you've been doing this for a bit. How much longer you want to keep doing it? I know you love the game.
As long as I feel like I'm effective at it, and Central Cass agrees that I'm effective at it, I'm not ready to hang it up yet. I have a very special group of girls I'm working with right now, they're young. This past year, Dom, we started 3 freshmen and 4 sophomores in the state championship game this year. Didn't win it, but we were close, and those girls have a fire in their belly right now. They were at practice the next week. They were ready to get going. They're participating this summer. They're putting the work in. Man, as long as I can be part of something like that, I'm just, and I feel like I'm going to be effective at it. I'm going to keep doing it. Can't do it forever. I heard somebody talking about a college coach once and saying sticking your dismount is one of the most difficult things. Yeah. And I want to stick my dismount here, but I'm not quite there yet.
All right. Most important question: where did you get Where did you put the trophy? Where is it at? On the mantle?
It's actually still sitting in the box in my kitchen, and it's because I've had this flurry of activity since I got home on Wednesday night that I just haven't been able to really do a whole lot with it. But it's the biggest trophy I've ever gotten. So. That's for sure.
I'd be walking around with that thing. The 4th of July is next week, man. I'd have it right under my arm. Anywhere you go.
No, I'm not going to be that guy. But it's an honor. It really is.
I'm interested. We talked about this, I think, during the COVID year that you started summer softball. How is that going? And is it grown to where you want it now 4 years later?
I think we've had some fits and starts with it. Some of the problem is, it was a bunch of high school coaches. So kids or, coaches that were coaching high school kids, and then they're trying to do the summer thing as well. And it's hard. It's a lot of work, and it's hard. And we didn't really ever have a commissioner, and we didn't really have. So we're still making it work. I think it's working pretty well with our youth, our 10U, 12U, and it's a little bit harder with our 14U and 18U kids. So it's still a work in process, Dom. That's the fact of the matter.
I got to ask you now with this big award, if you can have some sway about moving the season a little bit later, so not everything is on top of one another, I would appreciate. Can you do that? Can you make that happen?
I am all in on that. I don't know if I can make it happen, but maybe I will use this as an opportunity to have a mouthpiece and say, hey, let's push this season back a couple weeks.
Oh, man, I would appreciate that.
I would love to see that.
Well, I'll tell you this. Obviously we found out a couple weeks ago that WDAY got the Tier 2 contract, which softball falls under. I can tell you we got some big plans for the state softball tournaments in Class A and Class B. Class B this year is going to be here in Fargo, which at the Therrelton Complex, that will look pretty darn cool on TV. I can't wait for that weekend to roll around. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. A year out, but you can start planning for some big things there.
I'm excited about that. You guys do such a good job of covering high school sports anyway, and the fact that you're going to be doing softball right now, I'm very excited about it. Again, the coverage that we get, it's awesome. It's awesome that you invited me on today to be able to talk about softball and talk about Central Cass, and I really appreciate it.
Well, you're not going to have any bragging rights because Majo told me when he was on in early June that the turf fields come for baseball. So what do you got to have something for salt? What else you got planned? You got outfield seats coming. Can we do that?
Hey, I actually, that's interesting that you say that. We've got about 100 of the old Metrodome seats sitting in somebody's shed.
Get out of town. There you go.
Yep. And the wife said, hey, we got to get these out of here. So there's actually a little bit of activity going on right now to see, okay, how could we put something together to get those Metrodome seats up out there? So that's funny that you say that because we're actually working on that.
Make that happen. That would be outstanding. That's the only thing you're missing at that stadium out there.
That's right.
It's great to see you. Congratulations. No one more deserving of the award. Have a great 4th of July and have a good summer, okay?
Thank you so much, Dom. I really appreciate the coverage and all you're doing. So
good to see you, bud. There he goes.
Bye-bye.
Scott Kost, head coach of the Central Cass softball team, newly minted National Softball Coach of the Year. How cool is that? That's pretty neat. Speaking of pretty neat, the U.S. Olympic gymnastic trials are happening in Minneapolis. We come back. We're heading there with the next guest who actually participated in the trials, was this close. North Dakota's own Robin Hubner will join us when Hot Mike continues on a busy Friday. We're back right after this.